Hey everyone, it's Tay. I am a trans woman, and if you don't like that, you know where the door is, yada yada yada. You know this spiel, you've seen me often enough now. So, let's talk about... I can't believe I'm going to say this. Let's talk about Thomas the Tank Engine. Yes, a British staple, a classic if you will. A legendary character that's been around for quite a long time and has had a couple of video games, and this is the first, maybe of many? I do not know. So there's a SNES game of Thomas the Tank Engine, and it's an edutainment game, and that's all I've got to say. Let me show you, because this has to be seen to be believed. Okay, so do I really need to introduce this little blue engine? This is Thomas. Now, Thomas and Friends, or Thomas and His Great Big World of Adventures, or whatever it's called at the minute, has been around since 1984. Even longer if you count the books, but you know what, this is a staple, especially if you're British. This is a staple of growing up. My kids have watched Thomas. I watched Thomas. It's been around for so long. If you didn't know, the TV series is based on a series of books called The Railway Series by the Reverend Wilbert Awdry. His son carried him on after his death, so there's quite a few books. The television series was developed by Britt Allcroft. Now, you probably know this because initially it started using models, then it slowly transitioned into models, but with CGI faces, which is really weird. I mean, that is really creepy stuff. And then it went over to CG models and to what it is today. It's currently owned by Mattel, I think, off the top of my head. They bought it all out and they owned it. What we're looking back at now is a 1993 SNES game. Kids games, especially kids games back in the day, were notorious for being not very good, is a nice way of putting it, I guess. And this is no different. I am going to talk about another kids game that is very good, but it's definitely more modern, and is definitely a cultural character of the moment, shall we say, but we'll talk about Thomas for now. Now, this game was created by Software Creations. They would later become Acclaimed Manchester, and they were around from 85 to 2004. Now, they have made a few games that, if you had a NES, you've probably heard of, and if I mention one of them, you're probably going to break down and cry if you ever played it. So they did stuff like Wolverine, and Terminator 2, and Silver Surfer. Yeah, that one. Cutthroat Island for the SNES, Comic 64 for the N64, so they've done some stuff. They've been around a while, but they were mostly known for doing their licensed video games. And this is how we arrive here on the island of Sodor for this... I'm going to call it edutainment. Now, there is a Mega Drive, or Genesis if you want to call it that, version of Thomas and Friends, that is definitely more game than this. This is really... Well, let's take a look, shall we? Right, just to be clear, this is all retro treatment, so bear in mind that these are all fan-made achievements, for want of a better way of putting it. So first up, you've got things like this. So, finish a Thomas quiz. Now, all these achievements for basically beating the game on its hardest difficulty, which is 8 years and older, so I should be able to beat this. It's not hard. It really isn't hard. I'll tell you how long it actually took me to finish this game at the end, because you will laugh. So first up, we have a quiz. And it's literally just... simply pick the right answers. It doesn't get much simpler than that. You've got a sliding puzzle. Again, it's really simple. Even at 8-year-old, it's left, right, left, right, left, right, till the picture all lines up. Not hard. Do you like jigsaw puzzles? I mean, it's pretty funny to think that there's a variety of jigsaw puzzle video games actually out there. This has one in it, and again, really simple. Now we have a story mode, which is basically a read mode, a little Thomas story for your kids to read. It's not bad, but again, it's short. Are you buying a video game for your kids to learn to read? It's a weird one. This is why I'm calling it edutainment, and this is not a knock and saying you can't do these things. You can, but the presentation and stuff is not, especially when you're thinking, this is 1993. I'd have been 11 at the time this came out. Wow, I really am old. Anyway. This is perhaps not the sort of thing you'd pick up a video game for. The hardest thing, actually, the hardest thing I had on here to do was fixing the tracks, which took me a couple of goes to figure out the right method to get from one place to the other. That was it. That was literally the hardest thing in this entire game. Once you sort of work out how the pattern works, it is not particularly hard. You've got setting the switches, and you got a race against Percy or Bertie. That's it. That's all this game is. So, game is such a loose term here. Like I said, edutainment seems to be the better approach to what to actually call this. And I don't really have anything else to say. If you're looking for a quick an easy achievement grind for retro achievements, yeah, you can't go wrong with this. I literally just saw this pop up on their main page and went, wait, there was a Thomas game for the SNES? Okay, I'll try it and see what happens. And I kid you not, it took me a grand total of 16 minutes. That's right, 16 minutes to beat this game. I could have put this video out as a real-time 100% completion grind. I'm not going to. I don't think anyway. And yeah, I love Thomas. I genuinely love Thomas because, like I said, I grew up with Thomas. It's an institution both here and probably in America. I know the presentation of Thomas was slightly different in America. You got stuff like Shining Time Station and George Carlin being the narrator. We got Ringo Starr and No Shining Time, which is probably better. We won't talk about the movie because if you ever had to sit and suffer that thing, yeah, it's not great. So this is, early days of well, it's awkward to say early days. This is an earlier example of trying to make video games geared towards children, and it's definitely an early attempt. Is it rough? No, it's not rough. Everything's presented really well and works, and there's no bugs, there's no flaws or anything. It's just not that engaging, to the point where I thought I would test this out on my son, who is 9, and he lost interest within minutes. He was much more happier playing Minecraft than he was this. If you are on retro achievements and just want to play something simple just to get a feel, or just get a completed game up on the board, you can't go wrong with this. But looking back at it now, we have moved on so much better than what we can give our kids to play. There's much better video games that you can give them to play, whether they be a licensed game in the sense of a game I will talk about in a bit, Bluey, or whether it's Minecraft. I have no problem with my son playing Minecraft because there's so many different ways you can play that game and experience things in it, and allows them to be creative. Where this is just this. This would have been probably a full price game back in the day. Can you imagine paying full price for something like this? Yeah. So I have nothing else to say. I've waffled on as best I can, but there's not really much to get your teeth into here. There's no story. There's not much gameplay, if any. It is an edutainment title that's kind of dull and carries a Thomas setting to it. There is a Mega Drive game, as I mentioned, and that is much more of a game, but a lot harder and requires a little bit more work. So I might take a look at that one, purely just because that is a video game that you can get your teeth into and play. So let me give you a quick breakdown of the achievements. Like I said before, all these achievements are from retro achievements, so bear in mind that these are fan-made achievements, and when it comes to retro achievements, the difficulty can vary from game to game. With Thomas, this one's a pretty easy one. There's a grand total of 8 achievements, and I managed to unlock a whole 8 achievements in 16 minutes. Yeah, like I said, it's not difficult. This is a very, very easy grind, and if you want to dip your toe in and just get something easy under your belt, this is a good place to start. This is aimed for kids. You are not going to struggle. I'd say the hardest achievement for me was fixing the tracks, mostly because I couldn't figure out the pattern to get it sorted, but that was about the only thing that slowed me down. That was a delivery for you. I have no complaints. Like I said, this is an edutainment title, which is such a weird thing to me, but on the whole, yes, it's fun, and it's probably worth a quick look. With that being said, I would come to the conclusion that this is a very easy achievement grind and really good for beginners or someone who just wants a quick thing under their belt just to, got some time to kill. Let's have a quick grind. Yep, 16 minutes to complete the entire thing. Not a joke whatsoever. So, yeah, that was a grind, I guess. Sorry, Jazzy. You do more interesting grinds. Check out the Son of Jazzy. I make these jokes, assuming you all know who Jazzy is. But Jazzy does achievement grinds on probably much more interesting games than me at the minute. But I just had to. It was one of those things where it was nostalgia, kind of, and it's sort of the stuff with my kids now. So it was kind of fun to go and just see well, I say see, but it was what were you thinking? This was not a good game. This was not a fun game. It was a quick grind, so I can't complain, but still, if you've enjoyed this video, please leave me a comment down below. If you have suggestions for games I should try and grind, pop them down below. If you've liked the video, please give me the thumbs up. I need it after that. I need you to know that I just didn't do something stupid and waste 16 minutes of my time. I could have made a coffee and that or something, I don't know. But yeah, like, comment and subscribe. I have been Tay, and I will see you next time.